RadioOnFire.com, yours truly, Diamond K, in here. Thank you for joining me. So, I want to talk about this, and I think that this is something that really hits home for me, aside from the fact that I'm a DJ, aside from the fact that I'm a producer. I'm also a recording artist. So, something like this really is something near and dear to my heart, and I'm gonna start with this by saying that as far as the streaming game goes, as far as the digital streaming game goes, Spotify, as we have done our research, Spotify is the king. Spotify is running the streaming game. Okay. How many was that? Was that 70 million? Yeah. 70 million paid subscribers. So if you're in the music streaming game, you got to do business with Spotify. You got to have your music available on Spotify if you're going to be in the streaming game. And if you're in the music game and you're not in the streaming game, you're not even in the damn game. So everybody has to have your stuff on Spotify because they have 70 million subscribers. So that's paid subscribers, right? So close second, well, maybe not even close, but second place, Apple Music, what was that, 30 million? Yes. 30 million for Apple Music, and they've been in existence since what, 2015. Tidal, we have Tidal. Tidal, how many subscribers was that? Was that 3 million? All right, so since 2014. All right, so they got a long way to go, but Tidal's still in the game, and of course they've had some controversies in the past week or so. But yesterday, Spotify decided to come down with some new shit. Spotify decided to try to get ahead of things. And from a business standpoint, I understand where Spotify is coming from. I understand that nobody wants the drama. Nobody wants the drama from the fans. Nobody wants drama from organizations that champion victims. Nobody doing business wants that kind of drama. And I understand that. So anyway, yesterday, Spotify announces a new policy. Now, them announcing this shows that they are aware of the times. They're aware of what's going on in society today. They're aware. And I give them credit for that, because being an organization as large as Spotify, the fact that they are aware, I get it. But it's about money. I'm not even going to say that it's overly a sensitivity to victims as much as it is the bottom line and shareholders and stockholders, all that. So they will now keep the streaming service Spotify, 70 million paid subscribers, will now keep musicians accused of hateful conduct from being promoted via the playlists by both the company's curators and its algorithms. Now, that's major, because, as you know, the playlist, they had the real popular playlist called Rap Caviar. A lot of the playlists are how people find music. So they'll put a playlist on and let it ride. So you'll get random music that's in this playlist that's curated for a certain style of music. So if you are a rapper and your music is in one of their playlists, one of Spotify's playlists, then that's going to be good for you. And what Spotify has announced is that I don't want to say any, but I guess exactly who and what will get you off of these playlists is kind of murky. There's no clear definitions. But what was rolled out is that R. Kelly has been removed from Spotify's playlists, from their curated playlist. Now, here's the thing though. And initially I was split on this because I was saying, okay, they have not taken him off the overall site. I just went on Spotify. R. Kelly's still on Spotify. You type in R. Kelly, he'll come up and he's there. But he's not on the playlist. And the playlist is a major for discovering, remembering, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, R. Kelly has over 8 million monthly listeners. But how many of those listeners are because of his placement in Spotify's playlist? I would probably say a lot. Not all. I mean, we knew about R. Kelly before there was Spotify. R. Kelly's older than Spotify. R. Kelly's older than a lot of girls that he dates as well, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so R. Kelly's been getting a lot of bad publicity. More bad publicity than normal for R. Kelly. Now, there's some type of cable series coming out. There have been some online things. Here we are working on a story about him as well. But it's getting real intense. So new and resurfaced allegations of sexual misconduct and abuse against R. Kelly is why he's in this situation with Spotify. 50 Cent came to his defense, not that it meant anything, but he came to his defense saying that it's wrong what they've done, and he has not been convicted of anything, and they shouldn't be doing this. And as news spread, it also surfaced that XXXTentacion, the Florida rapper, who is facing a bunch of charges, including aggravated battery of a pregnant woman and witness tampering, has also been removed from playlists, including the aforementioned rap Caviar. So XXXTentacion and R. Kelly removed from Spotify's company playlist, but as I said, not from the site itself. So I'm mixed about this because if they had taken them off the site, then boom, I get it. I understand why you might be mad, but they're saying we're not promoting you. You can still be available, but we're just not putting our stamp behind you, is what I guess they're trying to say. But at the same time, if you make them available on your site, you kind of are promoting them and you kind of are putting the stamp there. So I'm torn. I'm torn about this, but I definitely know that R. Kelly's not happy. R. Kelly said earlier today that Spotify is taking sides and they're choosing sides. And of course, he does not like this at all. A big part of his business is going to be streaming, definitely. But this is, as of yesterday, their new hate content and hateful conduct policy. So, hate content. Now that is going to specify the words that you're saying on the songs. Now the hateful conduct is your actual behavior. So I'm suspecting that there are going to be more things that they don't promote. I guess it's sort of like radio versions, right? Like in the radio used to play, if the song was too violent, they wouldn't play it, right? The song had too much profanity in it, you couldn't clean it up, they wouldn't play it. And so maybe this is some type of censorship that Spotify is doing with this new policy. So as I said, both artists' music to vanish from these popular playlists. Spotify said this: we are removing R. Kelly's music from all Spotify owned and operated playlists and algorithm recommendations such as Discover Weekly. Spotify told Billboard magazine website yesterday. That's what they said. Spotify is putting their foot down. We run this shit. We got 70 million paid subscribers. We say who comes and who goes. But is that unfair? Is that unfair? So they're saying we don't censor content because of an artist or creator's behavior, but we want our editorial decisions, what we choose to program, to reflect our values. When an artist or creator does something that is especially harmful or hateful, it may affect the ways we work with or support that artist or creator. I get it. It makes sense. Now, whether they've been convicted or not, I can understand that, because it's almost like you're co-signing it. And if the leader, if the industry leader, Spotify is the industry leader, if the industry leader is taking this stand as the number 2, Apple Music, this puts pressure on them. They may follow suit. Now, they have 30 million paid subscribers. This is not the drama that you want. As a musician trying to keep it real, is this really an example when keeping it real goes wrong? A lot of these things that these artists are doing, these two specifically, as we said, none of them have been convicted of anything. But as I said, their music is not removed. It's just not in the company's playlist. Nobody, you're not owed anything. They're not owed to put this in, to put you in the playlist. They put you in the playlist if they want to, or could take you out and you could be replaced like that. Spotify said, we run this shit. Now, R. Kelly, I don't think he has too much of a leg to stand on. But XXXTentacion, he had a very interesting take on this. And I think that somebody like him that makes the type of music that he makes, I was pleasantly surprised that he took the stance that he took. So his take is this. He said, and this is XXXTentacion, he questioned Spotify over the artist's misconduct ban, so to speak. Now, R. Kelly's team issued a statement, and he said he didn't necessarily have a statement, but he had a question. And his question was this. I don't have a comment, just a question. Will Spotify remove all the artists listed below from the playlist? Now, of course, he had a list of artists. We're going to read all of them. All right. Gene Simmons of Kiss, sexual battery. Red Hot Chili Peppers, sexual assault. David Bowie, rape allegations. Real Estate, sexual misconduct. Backstreet Boys, Nick Carter, remember him? Sexual assault. Ozzy Osbourne, domestic abuse. Ace of Base, the founding member is a neo-Nazi. Seal's the one with the scar on his face. Sexual battery. Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin, rape of a minor. The late, great James Brown, domestic violence. Michael Jackson, sexual abuse of a minor. Miles Davis, domestic abuse. Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols, domestic violence and murder. Okay. Tekashi 6ix9ine, sexual misconduct with a minor. Nelly, sexual assault. Miguel, sexual misconduct. Trey Songz, domestic violence. Fabulous, domestic violence. And last but not least, Dr. Dre, domestic abuse. So clearly he's saying why y'all pointing us out? What about these guys? Now, I get it. And this is why I say that it's unfair. If it goes for one, it should go for everybody. That's the way that I look at it, right? That seems to me what would be fair. And that's not even the whole list. So that's just what they came up with on the top of their head. The rappers like Famous Dex, who was caught on camera assaulting his girlfriend. Young Boy Never Broke Again, NBA Young Boy, who was charged with attempted murder in 2016 and arrested earlier this year for kidnapping, assault, and weapons violations. They're on the same playlist, the Rap Caviar playlist that XXXTentacion has been taken off of. Okay? And the Rap Caviar playlist, nearly 10 million followers. So we're talking about something that can really affect the artist and just can affect their careers. So should this even happen? Should they even be censored or should they be penalized pending these things? Spotify is saying that which artists break its hateful conduct and hate content policies. Here we go. Here comes the bullshit. They are determined on an individual basis through a combination of internal monitoring, user feedback, and consultation with advocacy groups like Southern Poverty Law Center, the Anti-Defamation League, Color of Change, Showing Up for Racial Justice, GLAAD, Muslim Advocates, and the International Network Against Cyber Hate. Yes, so I'm sure that all of these organizations are happy with this, and I would be happy with it if it was something that we could see. It's like some type of performance enhancement drug policy, but it's not transparent. You can't really see it. If you're going to put forth this, it needs to be something that's transparent that we can see, definitely. But Spotify's head of content and marketplace policy said it would focus on artists who have done something so particularly out of line with Spotify's values. Yep. So in a follow-up statement, a Spotify rep said, as you can imagine, this is a complicated process with room for debate and disagreement, so we can't get into an artist-by-artist discussion. In general, we work with our partners and try to make decisions on a case-by-case basis. So, the confusion over whether Spotify draws the line led for XXXTentacion's publicist to ask about these other artists, and I can understand that. They said that Me Too and this lack of criteria outlined baits people thinking of the witch hunt and just targeting people in general. But I think that quite possibly this is not going to stand because it's clearly not fair. But on the flip side, it's their company, but this is not a privately owned company anymore. This is a publicly traded company. So if you're going to put forth this type of standard, now people are going to start looking at the owners of the company, shareholders. What type of conduct do you guys have? And who wants to get into this kind of back and forth, right? If somebody's not convicted, people that are charged, maybe, but what's the result of the cases? Hasn't Nelly's case been thrown out? Hasn't Trey Songz's case been thrown out? I mean, The result of these cases, I think, should play a fact here. Of course, like, I don't really listen to Spotify like that. I don't really. I more so use Tidal, but you know, I don't know. This is definitely not the end of this, and we definitely got to wait and see as far as Apple Music, as far as the other streaming competitors. What are they going to do? If all of the streaming services get together and try to penalize people based on their own, I don't know what, this is going to cause a lot of trouble for recording artists. Let's hear your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at The Diamond K Show, at RadioOnFire. I'm sure that this is not the last time we are going to be talking about Spotify and this brand new policy. Let me know your thoughts.